New this morning, we are getting a new look at prices at the grocery store. July Consumer Price Index shows inflation for food prices over the past month. That's steady, but over the past year, that number is 2.9%. Recent polling shows that Americans are worried about the cost of food. In fact, 53% say grocery prices are a major stress. Joining us now is Stu Leonard Jr. from Stu Leonard's Grocery Stores. Hi, Stu. Quite the backdrop you have for us. All right, I know you have some props as well. What items at your stores are going up the most with prices?
Well, here's a good one. You guys.
A lot of Americans, I still feel like a lot of Americans don't really understand how cheap our groceries are here, relatively speaking.
Could put this on the grill right here, but here's probably one of our ranchers' favorite when they come, sort of like a Fred Flintstone steak. But, you know, ribeye steaks are huge, and meat prices have gone up. We're at a like historic low herd size in America, so the supply is very low, and prices have ticked up. I just talked to our meat buyer this morning, and he said he's feeling even more escalation in meat. Could be around 80 cents to $1 a pound coming up to the holidays.
So
I'm in favor of inflation if it just hits animal products, man. That's probably very well deserved. We need to transition away from that shit. It's not good. Yeah, our meat prices are unsustainable. They're the product of like so much subsidization, so much like water use going to alfalfa or whatever. It's not good.
when do you see that trend subsiding?
Boy, I don't know. You know, another thing that's really big is we have shrimp, you know, and you know, right now we can either get it from Ecuador, we could get it from India, but the bay there, India has huge tariffs, so we're not buying it from India right now. That's 50%, I believe, and now Ecuador is at 15%. So we're trying to move our shrimp production over to Ecuador, which is huge. We do 500,000 pounds of shrimp a year at Stu Leonard, so it's a big thing.
What about some other items like coffee, like eggs? Where does that stand?
Coffee.
Hey, well, you know, coffee is that's a.
He said coffee like how I say coffee. That's nice. I don't know, man. Did you see that Twitter discourse where there were some MAGA people being like, if you want cheap banana and coffees, then just buy it like American-made banana and coffees or something. These people who are either bots or just so comedically unaware of how the world works.
Supply and demand issue right now. They're having some you know, heat problems and weather problems. So coffee prices have spiked. But you know, this is a big one here because, you know, usually what we can do here is I can resource product, sort of like what I did during COVID. We were jumping all around trying to buy product from all over the world, and we're doing the same thing now because of the tariffs. So bananas is one thing. It's a 15% tariff from Costa Rica. We don't grow them in America, so you have to import those, and that's a 15% tariff. Our importers eating the whole thing. They have not raised the price yet. So I talked to our buyers this morning. The seas are calm. We have not raised prices at Stu Leonard's due to the tariffs. We've had a little bit of increase in things like aluminum trays from China and stuff. Negligible. We haven't raised prices, but I don't see that happening unless this tariff thing gets worked out by really next month or even October.
Yeah, a significant amount of, or like a significant contributing factor to inflation not being as bad as it could be is the fact that corporations have been tanking a lot of these losses. I said this before, but I also feel like one of the long-term effects we're not really going to be talking about for a while is the fact that smaller distributors and companies are just going to have to close doors. They're going to have to shut down because of these tariffs, which means that there will be a bigger market share for larger companies that can weather these tariffs for longer, meaning that it seems like the prices aren't raising that much, but what's really happening behind the scenes is more and more monopolization and market consolidation, which is, yeah, I mean, that's part of the point, right? Every time you create economic crises, it's the small fish get, you know, killed off the easiest. Everything gets consolidated and consolidated further and further. It's not good. It's not good.
Just to be clear, you don't see your ability to continue not raising prices unless the tariff situation is worked out. Is that what you're saying?
Warm in here.
Well, we've been here 50 years. We work on thin margins. Like my dad always said, people have to eat. So we're always going to be busy and have sales, but we don't make a lot of money. Now, I can't absorb, if all of a sudden there's a 50% tariff on something or even a 25%, I can't absorb all of that as a family business. So I'm being delicate. Like I've left our ground beef price at $3.99. For the families that want to make hamburgers for the summer. And that's a little bit of a cost. Lobster has come down in price. We used to export a lot to China, and that sort of dried up a little bit. So the U.S. is getting more lobster. Prices have gone down. You saw eggs have cleaned up right there. And, the big thing is people love these lobsters right here for the holidays. So, what we're seeing is the seas are calm with tariffs right now. But, I talked to even our liquor suppliers, the European buying the Bordeaux's and Barolos from Italy and everything. Those are all going to be tariffed. A lot of our suppliers have brought stuff over in inventory pre-tariff. Those inventories are running out. So we're going to be at a critical point, I think, next month.
Rice and beans, man. Rice and beans. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. No one believes me, but it's real.
That's going to determine the price of food for the holidays.
Well, we'll definitely be checking back in with you next month. How are consumers changing their grocery store shopping habits? We just showed that poll that 53% of American consumers are concerned about grocery prices right now.
You know what? We have 100,000.
Would now be the time to ask about a recipe? Yes, that would be more apropos. Sadly, there's no one left to do it.
Customers a week coming through the store. And we're on the floor pretty much. But one of the things you find, we have an app, and we put specials on that all the time. I would recommend, because we've noticed our app purchases of things that are on sale have increased. The other thing is our private label that we have at the store. That has gone up quite a bit. People are switching over to private label. We notice our demos aren't as effective. We got everybody tasting stuff. Sales usually double or triple when you sample it in the store. It's not as people aren't just grabbing stuff and throwing it in their cart. They're more price conscious for sure. It hasn't changed their behavior radically. They're still looking for good fresh food that's high quality. They're not going to buy something less expensive or day old or something. So customers are pretty much doing the same thing they've always been doing, except they're very conscious of food prices. And hey, my fingers are crossed. The retailers don't want to raise prices. We're sometimes get choked a little bit by what we are allowed to buy it at and what we have to retail it at in the store.
All right, Stu Leonard Jr., thank you so much.
I really like this guy. I like the fact that he set up a camera feed in his store for a bit as a backdrop for green screen. I like the fact that he had props. I like this guy a lot. I like his pizzazz. I like his gusto. I like him. Store looks nice too. Yeah, store does look nice. He's a small business owner though. Yeah, I guess statistically speaking, some of them have to be okay. I don't know. I hope that one day we are able to scale this shit back. I feel like one of the reasons why this has gotten out of control, we are way too choice oriented, Everything is available, but it's all lower quality and nobody knows how to fix or make anything. You can buy anything you want in any grocery store. It doesn't matter if it's out of season, it doesn't matter where in the world it comes from. It's all available to you, but no one knows how to cook. You can go to a toy store and you can get a bajillion types of toys, incredible and cheap too, but they all suck and nobody cares about them. Everything is disposable. Everything is transient. Everything is meaningless and ephemeral. Infinite variety, but none of it makes a difference. Pardon me tying it back into my current hobby, but clothing as well. You can go find million clothing brands, all of them functionally identical. There's a million brands out there right now that are all doing the fast fashion, contemporary, oversized silhouette, cinch waist, blah de blah, functionally the same, all of them racing to the bottom with the lowest quality construction and materials. They all fall apart, but it doesn't matter because they're cheap and you can just buy them again. We could have such a prosperous, efficient society, but it's just not profitable. It's just not profitable. I mean, it could be, but it's not. Current hobby equals permanent hyperfixation. I think that's better, man. I had like varying aesthetic interests for a long time that I never really committed to. And now finally I have an aesthetic interest that I clearly have a genuine commitment to. You know, I think that's much better than just kind of like bouncing around. Still, Leonard's has 8 stores and they're all massive in size. Doesn't give small business vibes. Oh, I don't know what we're arguing about on this. I'm not making any like committed moral claims about this individual, you know? I fear not the man who has 1,000 aesthetic interests. I fear the man who's ranted about one aesthetic interest 1,000 times. That's true, though. That's fucking true.